never slow up, no I don't take shit. I got no love for the fakeness. If you wanna play tough and wanna hate this, I'll always show up. I don't ever slow up, no I don't take shit. I got no love for the fakeness. If you wanna play tough and wanna hate this, I'll always show up and make a statement. I don't ever slow.
The past is gone. Now is the future.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to another edition of the Weekly Review. My name is Michael Larkin, and joining me, as always, are my boys. He is the dead man of RWT, Paul Morales, and, of course, the one, the only DC, Daniel Crimmins. Gentlemen, there is a lot going on. We have a
By
show.
the way, my name is not Bill Goldberg.
Bill Goldberg! And, yeah, there's a lot going on in the world, and there's a lot to talk about. This event should not be happening in Saudi, so let's just go get right into it.
Can we just say real quick, Mike?
Yeah.
Can we go one day without something going wrong?
No?
Can we have like just one day this year? Like, I don't know what happened, but it seems whatever timeline we are on as a collective is just nothing but y'all ever see the movie Event Horizon, that movie from the 90s?
Yeah.
I feel like we went through that gravity drive. Like, we're in some upside down alternate timeline where nothing is right. Like, since 2020, nothing feels normal.
It's like we went into this latest edition of like Groundhog's Day, but in the most morbid sense of it.
Yeah,
and I hate repeating it. I want off this fucking train.
Same. I mean,
get off this timeline.
Yeah, please.
I mean,
I'm about ready to call the Avengers and tell us we can get off this timeline. We can get into another one.
Yeah, I know, Paul. I know you'll remember the show Quantum Leap.
Yeah.
That timeline is just no.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, my thing is too. I mean, we do have Saudi this week. Crown Jewel. Blood money, as we used to call it. Yes, I don't look. I've gotten a little bit over it since Vince has been gone because the shows have been better produced. But for the love of God, especially with this now, y'all don't need to be going over there. With everything that's going on in the world, with Iran and everything, you don't need to be going over there. But we are, and yeah, we're going to have this show. We already have Dominic Mysterio off of it due to injury. There's 6 matches on this show. All I could say is they could have found a different venue. They really could have had somewhere in the U.S. They're already going to Saudi in January, so they could have found another spot, but they're not.
Hell, they could have went to somewhere in Europe. I'm pretty sure somewhere in Europe would have said, "Yeah, we'll take it. Don't worry. You know, we could do the venue here. You know, some place that's close by. You know, you don't have to worry about anything." But they already had guys in Qatar. They already had, you know, people there ahead of time already setting up, you know, everything that's going to happen there. But if you don't really know where Saudi Arabia is at, you know, literally, it's an ocean of water. Iran's right across the way. Mm-hmm. It's not like, hey, Saudi Arabia is here and like Iran is like
other side of the
hundreds of thousands of miles away. No, it's across a body of water. That's where it's at. I don't understand why it's necessary for them to do this now. It makes no sense.
So
you already know what's going on in this damn world. I don't care what the hell Velveeta Voldemort decides that he wants to do. It ain't going to make a difference. The fact is that when you play with evil people, you're going to get evil shit that happens.
So I'm reminded of that. Remember that old storyline from years ago, Vince McMahon giving away all his money?
Yeah, 2008.
Yeah.
Remember the quote? It's all about the money.
Oh, God. Friggin' TKO.
All this is. It's about money.
TKO tweeted out the schedule of like going to Saudi and everything this week, and everybody's like, how about we just like not and just like move the event? Everybody was going at TKO for that tweet. Like,
and here's a question: Is Dominic injured, or did he kind of come to his senses and be like, "Nah, player"?
No, I think it was an actual injury. I think that one is actually legit. I wouldn't blame him if he did either,
No.
but I think this one's an actual injury. I would blame him. I really wouldn't. I think a
I'm
lot of
sorry. I would fake an injury and be like, look, I ain't gonna want to go. I don't want to go. Because I sure as hell would not want to go. I sure as hell would not want to be in earshot of anything in the freaking Middle East right now.
Put it this way. I would flat out say, I'm not going. I wouldn't fake an injury. I'd just say, I don't feel comfortable risking my safety. You want to release me? Okay.
Okay.
Do it. Because I guarantee there's a guy down in Florida who would just say, I'll pay you. Come to my company. I'll pay you. I'll make you world champion, make you undefeated.
No, but
and there's a guy that's up north in Canada that would pay them too. And there was another guy, and there's another guy who runs a band, who has an amazing band who would pay him too.
Smash his pumpkins.
Yeah, and who likes to smash his pumpkins, All I'm saying is like there's other places you can go.
Japan.
This isn't it. It's, do you really want to risk the fact that you're going to go over there? You're risking your life. You're risking people's lives, their livelihoods that, could happen, all for satisfying some prince. That's it. That's all it is. And if this gets, now we're recording this on a Monday, so if between now, tomorrow, Tuesday, Wednesday, whenever Michael decides that he wants to put this out, all I'm saying is that it's between now and then, what we're dealing with is the here and now. And what we know is that this thing is going on. That's period.
And, I think realistically, we're not saying never do another show in Saudi. We're not saying that.
No.
Just for right now.
Don't go there.
Until things can settle down and until, things can be kind of worked out, don't do it now. Now, if you want to give them, a show, move it later in the year, fine. Whatever, do it. We don't care. But out of an abundance of safety, what I want to know is, we all know what's happening. What would it take? What's it honestly going to take for TKO to be like, yeah, no, we're not doing it?
Honestly, if there was even more attack over there by Saudi with Qatar, even more of just missiles and shiznit, because I think with them, like you mentioned, it's all about the money. But I can honestly say, even before we came and done this, like I've been angry all day with the fact that they've been going, much like each and every one of us fans are. I think when it comes to Saudi, like we mentioned, like you guys mentioned, I already said they're gonna go back in January for the Rumble. Just like you can hold off till January, you could go somewhere else. But no, it's Riyadh season. It's because the people travel to Saudi Arabia to see these fights and everything. It's Riyadh season.
And they also reported there is now talk of there being 2 WrestleManias now, and it would be similar to how we had the Greatest Royal Rumble.
Mm-hmm.
God. Here's the thing: is that what TKO is doing is literally watering down the product. And it seems like that's the worst case scenario for them is to happen. And you're literally taking away from people are spending a shitload of money. Now I'm going to say how much I paid for my tickets to that Netflix premiere.
Okay.
I paid close to $800 for 3 tickets.
Wow. Okay.
Okay. That's just 3.
Taxes and fees.
No. That was $800 altogether. Believe me, I had already did all the taxes and fees. It was just under $800. All I'm saying is like now people are paying a shitload of money. I mean, I've gone to Raw before, and I spent maybe 100, 160, 180 for really, really good seats, not just all the way the hell up in the nosebleed section. I spent close to $800 for being all the way the hell up in the nosebleed section. Why? I mean, people are spending their hard-earned money. I mean, to go to these shows. I mean, I don't know very many people that go to Riyadh. I really don't. I've known people who've taken trips to Europe. I mean, I knew somebody who actually went to Lyon, France. I actually knew somebody who went there, but that was only because they lived on the East Coast and they said, hey, you know what? We're actually going to be on vacation in France, but they were like, oh, they're not hardcore like wrestling fans, but they were like, oh, hey, let's go check it out. They said that crowd was fire. But still,
that's France.
Go for it.
No, I was going to say that's France too. I don't mean to interrupt you, but it's like when you go to France and all these UK spots, that's a lot of spots. So even back in the day when people wanted to go to New Japan to see Chris Jericho versus Kenny Omega, they like to travel to the UK and stuff like that. I think with the Riyadh season now, I think it's because you have TKO, you have all these boxing matches. Like if you want to see Canelo and all these people, it's Riyadh season. Saudi Arabia promotes it. And I think with TKO and I think with Saudi being another spot for people to go to that people want to see these fights live and in color, it's one of those things where like that's going to hurt their business if we shut this thing on down. But at the end of the day, safety comes before all that Monet.
Let's talk about all the tribute to the troops. They were always on naval bases. They were on military bases.
Yeah.
So basically it's like they were safe going into there. And you play the video with Jonathan Coachman. He'll go into a little bit of detail about tribute to the troops.
Hey guys, emergency wrestling take right here. Now, there's a lot of you today on Coach and Bro. We were talking about the Saudi Arabia shows and Night of Champions. And a lot of you said, Coach, this isn't an active war space, so what's the big deal if they go over there? I have one of my best friends in the entire world, like a brother to me, who is in the Middle East as we speak. He just had a flight through Qatar. Canceled. Why? Because all flights in Qatar have been shut down. There are support staff with the WWE that went over there early to set up the show that are stuck in Qatar. For those of you that have never been to the Middle East, you have no clue what it's like over there. Years ago, I wrestled in Afghanistan. It was an active war space, and we still went anyway. And you had to land on the base like this, not like this. Why? Because as you get over, if you are like this, they can shoot your plane down, and they would actively try. For those of you who actually wrote on social media, what's the big deal? The safest place would be in Saudi Arabia because Iran would never shoot at the royal family. Do you hear yourselves? Is a wrestling show really worth it? Is lives of talent really worth it? What about the families that are sitting at home worried out of their minds for their husband, for their wife, for their children that are going to this wrestling show? Let me reemphasize that in Saudi Arabia. After everything that happened last weekend, we should be sending no people over there because on top of that, the United States and anything related to the United States, public enemy number one when it comes to Iran. So if I'm on an airplane in that airspace, I don't feel comfortable. And I absolutely would not go. Think about it, people. Let's cancel Night of Champions, cancel the plane, and then when it's back to normal, then we can start doing shows over there again. But it is bonkers to me that some of you are actually writing this stuff. Let's stop it. It's dangerous. And I'm telling you right now, one of my best friends is scared out of his mind sitting over there right now trying to fly through Qatar. I'm not kidding.
And, them going to the base. And literally it's not them coming in like, almost like, how you usually land on a plane in an angle. No, this is literally like drop from the sky coming down and then landing. Because that's just what happens,
Yeah.
in those and at that time we were still in a war with Bush
Jr.
Bush Jr. And the times that they went in, I think it was like 05 or 04, 05, 06, all of them were all in Afghanistan, Iraq, Kuwait. I mean, not Kuwait. They were in Iraq. They were in just in the area in general. Doing those little tours. Saying hi to the troops and everything. But I think for them there was that safety factor of them being in a place, of with the military. This is just being across the way from where they're bombing this, and Saudi Arabia isn't exactly the safest place as it is.
Oh, they've gotten stuck there before, like even with like the plane rides and stuff. Like it's happened before.
I remember, what was it? Crown Jewel 2019, I want to say.
Yeah, 2018 or 2019. That was the one
where Bray, the one where the Fiend beat Rollins for the Universal title.
Yeah.
And of course, Vince got out.
Yeah, Vince got out fine. The superstars, not
Vince,
so much.
Triple H, all of them, they got out. Everyone else was stuck on a freaking plane.
Yeah, that was
they were stuck on the damn tarmac for what? Almost 8 hours that they were stuck there.
Yep, that was the night of Adam Cole and Daniel Bryan on SmackDown. Yep, I remember.
Yeah.
Which, thankfully, that actually was, the truth the old saying, turn chicken shit into chicken salad.
Yep.
Yeah, but why are you gonna risk people's lives?
Exactly.
Why is it necessary to risk people's lives? And if they die, what are you gonna do? Whose blood is that on? It's on you, because you guys decided, hey, guess what? This was more important than the lives of the people that we have under contract.
You have people that have young children. You're going to look at their children's faces and say, yeah, sorry about your parent, sorry about your mom, your dad, your whatever, but yeah, we have investors to make happy. That's the problem with society as a whole, is we become so obsessed by the almighty dollar that we don't see how, hey, it could go fine. Nothing could happen. But the fly in the ointment here is there is so much uncertainty in that corner of the world right now. Is it really worth the risk? Now, for me, I don't think so. And if I were a talent, I'd say, hey, I'm sorry, but this is not worth it. If you force me to do it, I'm walking away and I'll sit out the rest of my contract.
See, I'm with you because, like you mentioned, the tribute to the troops, like you guys mentioned, like the naval bases. And I mean, even towards the end of the tribute to the troops, they would record it after SmackDown. It would be, you'd still be in the States. You'd still be there. You're secure, whether it be naval base or what have you. You'd be secure with the town and where you're going. But this is just hogwash. And it just, Saudi Arabia, and again, we've always said this, we don't hate the people of Saudi Arabia.
No.
We're not particularly piquant about the government. And it's just like, this whole thing has just had a lot of people right in the stomach, and just it gives you a bad knot, and it just doesn't make you feel good. And it just, we've all been pissed. I know we've said it many a times right now in repetitive sounds, but it's just like, God damn it, move this motherfucker. But you
all
won't.
Because a bunch of grown men can't sit aside and actually, talk.
Yeah, I don't.
To quote the great Ron Simmons,
damn.
It
makes me even feel bad for SmackDown. Like, you have to do 2 nights of this, SmackDown and friggin' Saturday. Like, they have to go for Friday and Saturday, which stinks. I feel bad for everybody that has to work SmackDown.
It just in general, it just sucks that that they're putting all this together, and they're trying to make this happen. And I get it, Triple H's mother-in-law, Linda McMahon, is part of the administration, and of course, they're probably in constant communication, saying, "Oh, well, it'll be okay." They can guarantee, your safety, but they can't really guarantee their safety. I mean, we're looking at this from it's hard for me to fathom that they would still want to do this. It's as a fan, I'm thinking to myself, like, y'all don't need to do this. Y'all don't need to be there. But,
to kind of expand on the point you were making about them getting assurances, you're going to tell me that you are going to be able to sufficiently make sure everything is secure for all those people, for every single wrestler, every single referee, every single member of the event staff, the fans, because, collateral damage. Like, let's be real here. look at this objective, abstractly. You're telling me you're going to be able to give security assurances to all of them? Come on. Be realistic and be pragmatic about this.
Yeah, exactly. I just don't see it. I mean, like I said, we're recording this on a Monday. By Tuesday or Wednesday, this all could be very different, and it could all change. But right now in the state that we have, I mean, they're announcing it. We're just right after Raw. They're announcing that it's still going to go on. So I guess card subject to change.
Yeah. And I guess at the last that I'd read, as of right now, they are scheduled to fly out. I think they have a plane chartered for Wednesday morning.
Yeah.
And then, so that should put them in Saudi early Thursday morning. Like, here's my thing. Like, do it all. Like, I would see about possibly moving Night of Champions up. And then do it all and then get out. Like, what I would honestly, if they are in fact going to go on with this, I would tell talent, as soon as you are done with your match,
get the hell out and go.
Get dressed, be ready to go, so that when assuming, let's say, the last match is Cena versus Punk.
Yeah.
Your gear is right next to Gorilla. So, as soon as you come back, you get dressed and then you get on a plane. They take everybody right there.
Yeah, don't do that, Vince McMahon. He get to leave and everybody else has to stay.
Not till every last soul is accounted for. Do you leave?
Don't do the media scrum. Don't do any of the bullshit. Don't do the press conference. Just leave and go. Leave and go.
Exactly. And here's the thing. We'll be back stateside Monday. Do the media scrum from wherever Raw is. Exactly. Do it ahead of time. Because they said is Raw in Saudi too? Because Raw is supposed to start at 6:00 Eastern next week.
I think also because that's 4th of July week, so I think they might just want to, get everything done. I don't believe Raw's in Saudi next week. I think it's just
I don't think it. I think it's just. I know. I think Raw's somewhere else, but I think that's what they're doing. I know that one of these shows they were supposed to double up. So, I think it's this. Yeah. I think that's why it's on early.
It's Monday. Yeah,
it is Monday. So they're doubling up Raw and SmackDown on the same night. So that's why.
That makes sense because a week from Friday is 4th of July.
Yeah.
But realistically, we're not. Again, I said it earlier. We're not saying cancel. We're just saying delay
or move it. Or one or the other.
I have not. I'm going to say this right now. I'm holding back because of the douche canoe and I can't believe I said that, but the douche canoe that is in charge of our country is just going to I'll go into a fucking rant, but for the love of God.
I said Velveeta Voldemort. No,
I know you did.
Just say the WWE Hall of Famer.
The WWE Hall of Fame. Oh God, that sounds dirty even to say that.
Makes it even worse.
That makes it even worse. That's the WWE Hall of Famer that is running our country. Just fucks it up for everybody. And again, this is what y'all wanted. 5 months, and here we are. I digress. Let's just move on before my head fucking explodes.
Mike, we may want to cut this little. Delete.
No, leave it.
Okay.
Fuck him.
We're all gonna be fucking dead anyway.
No. Jesus. Okay. So with that being said,
that means we all don't have to pay our fucking shit anymore.
Hey. So with that being said, with everything going on in the world right now.
All right. Good night, everybody.
Good night, everybody. No, with everything going on.
Bye, guys.
With everything going on in the world, there are, I will say this, the plus side is it's going to be good wrestling, but at the same time, it is just going to make us go, eh. So the match card that we do have right now for Saudi Arabia is Randy Orton versus Cody Rhodes in the King of the Ring tournament final. Asuka versus Jade Cargill in the Queen of the Ring tournament final. John Cena and CM Punk for the undisputed WWE title. Jacob Fatu and Solo Sikoa for the United States title. Rhea Ripley versus Raquel Rodriguez in a street fight. And Sami Zayn versus Karrion Kross. So 6 matches total for Crown Jewel. And I'm sorry, Crown Jewel. Night of Champions. I have Crown Jewel now that you said it before. Night of Champions. I look at it like this, y'all. We knew as soon as it was announced and we saw Randy win that you knew Cody was going to beat Jay, and it's going to come down to Randy Orton. Can he beat Cody and be the king of the ring? Because the last time he lost to Gunther, it's not going to be Cena and Orton at SummerSlam. It's going to be Cena and Cody again, and Cody's going to win it back. You knew. And
then Seth is going to cash in.
Yeah.
On Cody.
Yeah. That's what we're doing.
I don't know.
Or you think Cena's going to win?
I really don't. No, I just think he's going to cash in on Gunther. I think if it's Gunther and Jey Uso, at some point in time, then I think Gunther's going to get cashed in on, because that's Seth's championship. That's the workers' championship, and I think Seth would really want that one over the political championship.
What they should do, if you really want an entertaining idea, you have Gunther beat Goldberg.
Yes.
You have Seth tease a cash in, maybe even try to cash in, but Gunther stops him. So then maybe you're on Survivor Series, maybe a little bit after. You have Gunther, and you have like a number one contender tournament battle or whatever. And maybe it comes down to Braun versus Seth. Maybe Seth wants to be the first person to win the world title without cashing in. So then what do? You cash in on the WWE title and you have both. But the final two come down to Braun and Seth. Braun wins. Braun beats Gunther, but barely. Seth cashes in on Braun, steals it. Braun wins the Royal Rumble. We get Braun versus Seth at WrestleMania 42.
I like that idea, but I
can't tell me that would not create compelling TV.
No, I agree, but I think with how Roman Reigns is etched back soon, I mean, I could definitely see Seth
winning the Rumble.
Yeah, and Seth cashing in, or friggin' Roman costs him the Money in the Bank. I don't know if Seth is going to be this time he cashes in successfully. I don't want them to do the deal where Goldberg beats Gunther. Bill Goldberg beats Gunther, and then Gunther takes out Goldberg, and then
what needs to happen? What needs to happen with that? Goldberg hits the spear, somehow manages a jackhammer, but please don't injure Gunther.
No.
But I digress. 1, 2, referee stops, kind of gets pulled out of the ring. It's Bret Hart.
I know you're obsessed with the Bret Hart finish.
And people said, no, he wouldn't do that.
Yeah, you
Bill Goldberg.
Bill Goldberg. But no, like
realistically, what I could see happening, so many people made the comment that their counter to All In is Goldberg and Gunther.
Yeah.
And on first glance, one could say, yeah, to what they're trying to do. If Paul Heyman is in charge of this story, which he very well might be, because he booked the Best of the Bloodline shit.
Yeah.
What if this is all misdirection? And what is the key component to magic? Misdirection. Making you look here when it's sleight of hand. What if Gunther beats Goldberg, Seth cashes in, similar to my screw job idea, but except of it being Bret, it's Roman.
Hey, okay.
Ooh.
You see, you mentioned countering it with All In. Here's my thing. With what they're doing with Jon Moxley, Hangman Adam Page, and trying to counter, that's going to be an even big clusterfuck, because is Chris Statlander going to join the Death Riders, or is she going to go back with or is she going to go back with Willow? Is Jack Perry going to come back and interfere? Is Swerve going to side with Hangman, or is he going to beat up Hangman? The Young Bucks getting involved. You have such a clusterfuck in this match. At least Gunther and Goldberg at least makes sense, even though I don't want to see it.
Here's what's going to happen, and I guarantee Chris Statlander is going to cost Hangman the title. You both know I have been saying this shit for months now.
Right.
it's going to be Darby Allin that takes the title off of Moxley.
Yeah,
I have been saying, have I not been saying it for months?
Well, my thing too is the fact that Will Ospreay is on the cover of the Forbidden Door poster in the UK, so I think they're going with Ospreay and Moxley at the friggin' Forbidden Door.
He ain't winning it either, folks.
Nope.
Here's the thing. People were so certain it was going to be Swerve.
No.
They were so certain. Like, yeah, he's the guy. And this is literally Roman Reigns all over again. Paul, how many times when Roman was champion, we'd be like, yeah, this is the guy. We were certain it was going to be Jake Paul, or not Jake Paul, Logan Paul. Yeah. We were so certain that you were like, well, maybe they're actually going to do it.
We thought it was going to be Sami Zayn. We thought it was going to be Jey Uso. We thought it was going to be AJ Styles, Kevin Owens.
It's the same freaking story. And what's going to happen? Darby's going to win it, and they're going to turn on Darby.
Yeah, it sucks just because that finish, and I mean, you don't even have anything for Bobby Lashley and Shelton Benjamin. It looks like they're going to face either the fucking dumbass, the bad apple, Brian Keith and Big Bill and fucking Christian Cage and Nick Wayne out of nowhere, and Speedball Mike Bailey and fucking Kevin Knight. And I'm like, this is what we're doing? It looks like we're setting up a multi-man match for the tag titles. Like, just the whole storyline is just the shits. And then, of course, you know, Miss I have to win 6 titles. Ultimo Mercedes is now the
Thanos Monet.
Yes, with the CMLL women's title, and you know she's beaten Tony. The best thing was Tony Storm on Collision talking about that she's not another motherfucker. I'm timeless. Like, it's just that whole card has got such a disinterest in me because you already know. You already know. It's not going to be bad, the matches, but you already know. And it just is such a bluh. So that's why I say when they counteract with Saturday night's main event with that, again, Gunther and Goldberg made sense. Moxley and Hangman's going to be a clusterfuck. Do I want to watch the clusterfuck or do I want to watch the thing that makes sense? It's not going to be long. So we'll see. Both.
No, I'll probably have one on my laptop and one on my TV, one or the other.
Exactly. It's a weekend of wrestling, but God damn it, they are not making me very, very interested. The only thing I'm really interested right now with the Evolution side of things is I'm excited for JC Jane and Jordan Grace. I think that will be very good for the NXT Women's title. But yeah, just this whole situation.
There are rumors, mind you, that it's possible that Ronda Rousey could be appearing.
No.
At Evolution.
No, please don't.
There's talks that Brie Bella has been talking to WWE, which I could easily see that.
Well, that storyline is out the window now from Liv Morgan. That poor Liv Morgan's going to be out for months, like 6 months with that shoulder injury.
Adam Pearce said tonight it's going to be 7. So she's going to miss Evolution. She's going to miss SummerSlam. She could go all the way past Survivor Series. And she probably won't return at least until the Royal Rumble if that's
assuming her recovery goes well.
But I'm pretty sure that they'll give her. Of course, she's going to have the best doctors. I mean, she already had the whatever surgery she's going to have. I believe she's either going to have it soon, sooner rather than later, as opposed to later. So her recovery time is a little bit faster. So, prayers up for Miss Liv Morgan. Hopefully you get back sooner rather than later, sweetie.
And we have Roxy just defend the titles with her, and then Liv Morgan comes back as a babyface and go like they do with Rhea.
One thing that it kind of flew under the radar, but I guess Kiana James, who has been out of action for over a year at this point, was backstage at both Raw and SmackDown last week, and they're saying she could be coming back anytime. And part of the problem is with Liv being out for X amount of time, you need somebody.
Yeah, I would do. It's going to be either Roxanne or Kiana, and I like Kiana. I think Kiana has such an upside, and I mean, like you guys mentioned, with everything that's going on with Liv Morgan, like you have a great story to tell now that she's out with Raquel and Roxanne and everybody, and the fact that we're going to get Asuka and Jade winning tonight, like. If we don't get Asuka and Io, I mean, there's different transparencies there. We can either do Asuka and Io, or we're going to do Jade Cargill and Tiffany Stratton. If it were me, I'd continue this stuff with Naomi because Naomi's doing her best work with Jade.
What's going to happen.
Yeah, and I'd like to see Asuka and Io. I think that's the better matchup to go with.
I think what they end up doing is, I think it's going to realistically, it's going to be Jade versus Tiffany at SummerSlam, and I think Naomi's coming out, and I think she's stealing it. She's going to pull a Rollins, and either it's going to wait till Jade wins it, or it's going to steal it from her.
Yeah, and do what she did with Nia and then Tiffany Stratton. Okay, all right, I like that. That's a cool idea. Paul, would you prefer Asuka and Io or Stratton and Jade?
I want Asuka and Io because I think that one just it sticks out to me more than the other one, more than Jade. But I do like the idea of Naomi coming out, costing her the match. You know, maybe them still feuding. You know, eventually down the line. I don't want Jade to cost Naomi the cash in. That's my only thing. Is that whenever it happens, I really, really don't want Jade to cost her the championship, because that's someone who I feel right now could do a lot with it, especially with the character she's in right now.
Oh yeah, Naomi's she has done the best work. And like I said the last time, you know, sometimes when, you know, you're one character for so long and you take a complete left turn from your usual, that doesn't always work.
Yeah.
But man, when it does, like Trinity has hit a grand slam out of the park. It's gone.
I think when you have someone like Naomi who's been doing that character, the glow, for years, and you need that change of scenery, this is her best work. You can tell she's having fun with it. She's loving what they're doing. They gave her the new entrance. Like, she has something here that's very special with this. And like we mentioned with injuries as well, poor Noam Dar, who can't seem to catch a break, friggin' has to relinquish the NXT Heritage Cup. And now this Tuesday on NXT, we got Stax and Tony for the Heritage Cup, and we're going to see whose side Luca Crucifino's on. So poor Noam Dar takes an injury bug as well.
We all know Luca is going to turn on Tony D.
Yeah.
And I'll say it now. Isn't it right around this time when the NXT summer call-ups start happening?
Yeah, I could see them.
Tony D is going to get called up. And honestly, SmackDown.
They said the next draft is after SummerSlam, so
SummerSlam's July, right?
No, August 1st and 2nd.
I think realistically, I think Tony D, I think best place for him would be SmackDown, realistically.
Yeah, that would be a good place for him.
I mean, you talk about the call.
I just don't want him to fade into the black like freaking Carmelo Hayes. That's
and Aleister Black. Get
Aleister Black
to black.
Yes.
Got it.
Now, I got to ask y'all, do you think they were also talking about adding a fourth member to Seth's group? Rumors were it's Ethan Page or Ricky Saints. I'd love it if it was Ethan Page.
I think it would work if it was Ethan Page, but I mean, the group altogether needs to hold titles. So I think if Seth is the first one, then I think the domino effect would be Braun and Bronson Reed to get the tag, and then IC title would be Ricky Saints. I just think they need titles in their group, so that would be interesting to me.
Hear me out. Instead of either of those two names, Carmelo Hayes.
Hey, okay, that would fit with his character. Yeah.
Because think about it. Seth can weave his web and say, Miz was helping you, but Miz left you.
Yep.
This can be Seth's version of Evolution. And
I think it'll work. I think it could work.
I think Carmelo could work. Trick Williams could work. The thing is, Ethan Page does not need this. There's other names where I think it would be better fitted.
Yeah.
I mean, I look at it from a stance like this. We also do have, like you mentioned, tag teams. Like we have Joe Gacy and Dexter Lumis go for the tag titles. Do you put the Wyatt Six, the tag titles on the Wyatt Six?
Absolutely.
Absolutely.
I think it's time. I honestly do.
And I would like to, and eventually at some point in time, I'd like to see Bo Dallas, Uncle Howdy, actually get a world title, around his waist, because I think that would more or less solidify, something that he had always wanted to do.
Yeah.
Maybe even the tag team titles. I mean, because that's something he wanted to do with his brother too. So that somewhere down the line. I mean, but if not, I would like to see him at least in the world title picture. I mean, I get, the guys that they have up there now, but Bo isn't exactly a young cat, and
No.
I know I would just like to see him somewhat in the picture, some picture, get him in there. Hell, make him win the Royal Rumble. I'd be happy.
Hey, we believe in Uncle Howdy.
Absolutely, we
but
do.
He's 35, so time's a ticking.
Time's a tick.
But if you want to create, what is WWE all about? Moments.
Yep.
So here's kind of a cool idea, and literally you could do it with any title. You could do it with a WWE title. You could do it. It would work with a tag title. They always have those side plates. So what you do is you have two titles. You do anyway. You have the TV copy, which is the one they always have in the racks right next to gorilla position, and then they have the one the talent takes home that they travel with, where it doesn't have their logo on it, unless they're doing TV.
Yeah.
So what you do, imagine this. Bo wins a title. Could be the US, could be the WWE, could be a tag title. And then, he does the pose right at the end of the show. And one of the last shots, you see the OG lantern. Bray's lantern in the middle. You have the belt in the middle of the ring, and you have the lantern inside of it.
Well, that would be cool.
And then you end the show with the original Bray Wyatt family sound effect. Where the lights would go out and you would just hear Bray scream. That.
Okay.
No credits, no nothing.
I like that. And I mean, with everything that we got going on, and I mean, we did mention the
Triple H can't pay me.
So the other thing I did have to mention is, I mean, we're going to get Solo and Jacob Fatu, like we mentioned. That's going to be really good. We have not gotten Hikuleo yet. I know he wrestled.
That's too early.
I know we wrestled that.
They're rushing it, and I hate it. I hate the fact that they're rushing it, and it to me it makes no sense.
We got Hikuleo like that was about it. We're like testing the waters with him, but now we got Jimmy and Jacob Fatu possibly on the same page.
Am I the only one that sees what's happening coming?
Go ahead.
Like, we have seen this story before. Do you remember it? Well, I believe it was Drew McIntyre versus Roman at Clash at the Castle.
Yes.
Here's what's going to happen. Jacob is going to be beating Solo, and then Hikuleo is going to debut and cost Jacob the match.
I can definitely see that, a role reversal from what we got with Solo debuting. I see that.
It's the same shit.
Okay.
Tell me when I'm telling lies.
Like I said, I just think that this part is just a little too soon to me. I mean, I would have liked to have had Cena a little bit marinate a little bit longer, maybe get to SummerSlam, but to me, this one's too early. I mean, even if it would have been at Saturday night's main event, I still think it would be too early. You need to at least let it kind of ferment, on that undertone, and allow it to continue to keep building. That's just me, though.
Mike, let me ask you: how far out are Tongaloa and Tama Tonga from? I know Tama just got hurt like right after Mania.
Mm-hmm.
What was his injury?
I even forgot. They didn't even say. I just know he was
I
hurt.
thought it was a hamstring injury.
Yeah, that sounds about
It was
right. But
either a quad. It was either a quad or a ham. Or I think it was his quad.
I know Tongaloa should be back soon though.
Yeah,
Tongaloa.
yeah.
So Tama could be out for like rest of the year, possibly.
Yeah.
No, I think he should be back by maybe Survivor Series
Ish.
depending upon the timeline that they have for him.
Can we just give it a call? The new bloodline. Call him Bullet Club Blue.
Bullet Club Blue.
Like, because think about it. You got Tama Tonga, Tongaloa, Hikuleo. You got AJ Styles. You got Finn Balor. You have a good chunk of the OG Bullet Club.
This is very true. This is very true.
Heck, you even got Cody Rhodes.
I will say this. What else we got besides that? I know it's not on the show and they're going to be doing it on SmackDown this week. I think it is time. I enjoyed the story of her getting it and the chase to get it, but I would definitely have Julia beat Zelina Vega for that Women's United States title.
Oh, absolutely.
I'm kind of over it now, to be honest. I'm kind of over it.
I think it's more so because I don't want to say it, but I think she's not really a great, outstanding wrestler.
I mean, she's always
been. And I love Zelina. I just don't think of seeing her as that top someone to carry that. Chelsea carried it a hell of a lot different, and I know they're two different people and two different reigns, but it just doesn't seem like it's on her right. And I don't know if I think Michin probably would have been a better choice to take it off of Chelsea, but
I think to expand on your point, Paul, like if you think of Lyra Valkyria with the women's Intercontinental title over on Raw, she was booked horribly. Like they really didn't do much
until the Becky feud
with her. Like, so having Becky win that title and feuding with Bayley, to me, I thought was the right call. Not to say Lyra can't get it back, but Becky was the right person. Now, in this scenario, Chelsea Green was the perfect call to be the first one. And you know what? She made people like her. She got over organically with the crowd.
Yeah, and but the only thing about Lyra though is that they didn't allow her to get those fiery promos until she had Becky on the other end.
Like I said, they booked her horribly. Not her fault.
No, it's not her fault. I'm just saying, like, it would be different if she had that same fire intensity with every promo against, the couple of people that she had prior to Becky. So that would have been a hell of a lot different. But the story in general is specifically between her and Becky, and that was where it needed. That's where it needed to happen.
If you're trying to build up Julia, and it was reported that she's set to get a monster push. And I like Zelina Vega. Her social media game, absolutely hilarious. The TikToks she did with Rhea Ripley were absolutely some of the funniest wrestling related TikToks I've ever seen. I think what you need to do is have Julia just utterly squash her. Like little offense, but have Julia just fucking clean house.
Agreed. I mean, they did a great promo leading up to it, and Zelina talking about I'm from the streets, I'm going to do my thing. But I look at her, great promo. Both had great promos, but it's time. And Julia has been on fire since she got to NXT, and especially on the main roster. She's one of the hot commodities for the future. And I mean, we mentioned promos. I know we did mention before Bill Goldberg.
And
what he's doing with Gunther. Did y'all like the promo tonight of I'm going to fuck him up? No. No. Both instant no's.
I'm not even here for it. I don't even care. I really don't. I don't care.
Gunther's promo was very good. I like Gunther's promo.
No, but I'm sorry. He just doesn't. He's 50 fucking 6. It's like
58.
it's like whatever. He's 58. It's like having fucking Ric Flair out there fucking trying to woo everybody, but
And at
whatever.
least
I'm glad it's on a
Goldberg-
fucking Saturday night's main event.
Goldberg's last match was fucking years ago. It was like 2-3 years ago.
Yeah, the 2 years ago with Roman.
And if you think about people say, well, Jericho's old. Well, this person's old. Well, that person's old. But and they're like, well, Lashley's almost 50.
Look at Bobby Lashley.
See, here's the thing, though. These are people that wrestle regularly.
Mhm.
You have Jericho, which, Jericho is not as good as he used to be even a couple years ago with AEW, but that's not the point. The point is he is on TV regularly, and it's not necessarily Goldberg's fault. The problem is that now that he's pushing 60, his shortfalls in the ring are only getting bigger and more obvious. He got exposed with The Fiend. He got even more wrecked with Taker.
Mm-hmm.
You watch that back and you see him almost dump Taker on his head. You can see almost instantly how furious Taker was, to the point Taker called an audible, said, "We're ending this now."
Yep. I know. I mean, with that, he goes from that match to, of course, the Fiend match and the match with Braun, and then he does the match with Drew McIntyre, which was okay. And then, of course, the Roman match. But still, he hasn't wrestled a match in 2 flipping years. And we got to bring it up since you did mention The Undertaker. I'm not going to lie. Undertaker on the creative team, I'm okay with that. I'm okay with No. Even you, Mr. RWT Deadman, no. Go ahead, Paul, take it away.
No, that was that, and I love, I have my monikers right there.
Yeah.
Monikers right there. No. And it's because it's more so because it's Vince. And
the Vince mindset.
And that's that Vince mindset, and I can't deal with it. I don't want to deal with it. And him being on creative, I love him, but no.
No.
And that's not to say you can't utilize Mark Calloway. Here's a thought. Here's an idea.
What he did on LFG was perfectly fine. He proved a lot of what he was going to do, what he wanted with training a lot of these people, and that's great. I think that's where he should stay.
Here's my
something
idea.
like that.
You want to have him on the creative? Here's what you do. You've got Omos, who's supposed to be coming back soon.
Yeah.
You have Hikuleo. You've got some other giants down in NXT. Have him work with the big guys to the point where help them with their psychology. Have him help them with their character. Because Taker was one of those big guys that made it work. I think that is an area where he could be a huge benefit to the company.
I concur wholeheartedly. I think when you have that mindset, like Paul said, don't put him on creative, and like you said, he can help coach like he's done with LFG, or just give guidance. That's always what the Undertaker's been about, that locker room leader mentality. So if you can have him in that role, I'm happy with it. But
here's a thought. Do you think if there was ever an autograph signing, I wonder if someone gave him a cucumber if he'd sign it?
Oh God. Just puke. Oh my goodness gracious. That friggin' story is hilarious. Besides the "you got me, brother," that will never.
Oh, you got me, brother.
That will never not be hilarious. Paul Bear, God rest his soul. But yeah, that's yes. But that's a lot of what we get to see. Now I have to mention on the TNA side briefly, because we do have a newcomer to TNA, Cedric. As we all talked about on the show a couple weeks ago. Cedric made his debut confronting Mustafa Ali. Yep.
This guy called it.
Yep.
Paul called it.
He did. And I got to say, I'm for it. You could give, and also people forget that Cedric and Moose have a history. So Cedric and Moose for the X Division title. Give me it. Give me him and Ali. Give me whoever. Give him against any NXT guy. Cedric and Trick. Cedric and whoever.
Anybody. He's still gonna. He would be a great worker no matter who he works with. We all know this.
Well, everybody's like, well, Tony didn't want him for AEW. It's like, you think he's going to go to AEW after what happened with his wife? No.
Exactly.
Dumbasses.
People say, well, Tony didn't read. Do you really know everybody that Tony reached out to that Tony's tried to sign? No.
No.
You know everybody that WWE has reached out to? No. How many times have we heard stories, where people were like, "Yeah, WWE never reached out to so and so." Somebody that signs with AEW, then they're like, "Yeah, we talked, but AEW made me a better offer." We almost hear it every single time, but at the end of the day, I think it was the perfect spot. I think he did probably talk to AEW, but then I think he probably talked with his wife, and then he's just like, no.
No. Well, because everybody thought he was going to be in the Hurt Syndicate, but then
that doesn't work for me, brother.
Everybody was thinking the Hurt Syndicate, but I'm like, no, you can't because of what happened there. You can't. But yeah, now you got MJF with it, so I mean, whatever.
For how long?
For how long?
They'll screw that up.
Yeah.
One second. I'm gonna have to bounce real quick because my wife needs me to do something, and you guys can finish up and say who I am, whatever. But I have to go real quick. I actually have to pick up my roommate too.
Of course. Okay, man. We'll finish it up. We'll take it home.
I love you guys.
We acknowledge you.
We acknowledge me. Thank you. I'll hold you later.
All right, later, bro. Okay, so now as Paul takes his absence, we will finish up this fine program.
This program has just become Uncaged.
Oh, yes, I like what you did there. So the Uncaged crew is now taking over the show.
Which, if you want to see more of our smiling faces, you can see down below. Michael put the links in the description.
It will. Cheap pop, cheap plug, number one. So I think you can tell by today's show, folks. I think by the beginning, we got really, really into the fact of what's going on in the world. And it's a downer, but I think with a lot of the matches, it's going to be good, but it still gives you a bad taste in your mouth. The other thing that I will say that did come from a lot of what's going on in the world today, let's talk about this, Dan, because we did find out, Cora Jade said in her interview with Chris Van Vliet that she would want to go to AEW like she's been saying, but I'm like, Cora, number one, CM Punk. Like CM Punk is public enemy number one over there. And number two, you have the other factor of Darby Allin, because if you remember, her and Darby Allin had some Twitter beef back in the day. Do you see Cora Jade, because she doesn't want to go to TNA because of the NXT relationship? Do you see her going to AEW, or do you think she's just going to still do the indies for a little bit?
Honestly, I think she would do real well in Japan. I think, get her some experience there. We've heard the comments she's made about WWE. We've heard, and if I'm Tony Khan, I'm looking at, hey, she is an extremely talented wrestler. Maybe give her a shot, but here's the thing: she's also had a good number of injuries, so
that's my issue.
It's the whole risk versus reward thing.
And that's what I think with her and WWE, and I know she hasn't mentioned names, but if I'm working there, and I'm not going to disrespect or disparage her, but I'm like, what can you do? And what I mean by that is you're injury prone. It's the same thing with Tegan Knox and Nixon Newell. You have 2 leg braces on both of your legs, like you're injury prone. And she was the one that a lot of people said that she was unprofessional because she's like, what am I going to do? And everybody's like, be patient, because with all the talent that they have that's bringing up, you really have nothing for Tegan Knox right now. It's like, what would you like for us to do right now? We're keeping you here. We want you here, but we're still waiting for something to be there. And now, unfortunately, she's gone. And now she just started an OnlyFans, much like the Cora Jade. I mean, let's even get into that because
no one's called her.
Yes, I was about to say, is that why you're seeing a lot of these girls like Cora Jade, Nixon Newell, because a lot of the wrestling companies, they're not signing it, or you think they can make more money with the OnlyFans?
It might be a mix of both, honestly. And, I think part of it is waiting for the right time. I mean, how long did Joe Gacy before the Wyatt Six was just sputtering? His stable in NXT, which I'm drawing a blank on the name.
The Schism
had basically fallen apart. I mean, there was nothing for him to do. And then Wyatt Six has been out for a number of months.
Mm-hmm.
And people thought, oh, well, they're probably gonna cut him. And now it's one of the hottest acts on SmackDown. To the point where that's all I will tune in for.
Well, that's the thing. They changed it up with the fact that they're not going on against people who are turning on their family. They're just like, we're going to get what's owed to us. We're not a nostalgia act. We want the tag team titles. And you have every tag team on that roster wanting to take them out. And it's only going to get stronger when you have Gacy and Dexter win the tag titles. So you have something for them that's special than what they were doing on Raw against the American Made and the Final Testament. So you switched it up, which you needed to do. And speaking of switch it up, we'll switch it up to more topics. So I will bring this one up to you, Daniel, because this was very much a hot one that a lot of people put up, and I will put it on the screen for everybody. So on American Gladiators, we have The Miz, Rick Boogs, Wardlow, Camille, hosted by The Miz. Tony cannot have Wardlow or Camille on his thing, but we have Rick Boogs, who was in WWE. Career got cut short due to injury. And he's a perfect example of what we're going to get with this new American Gladiators. But how is it that we could get Wardlow and Camille on American Gladiators, but we can't get them on AEW television? How is that? That doesn't make any sense to me.
The problem is, and I've said it ad nauseum at this point, and Mike, you can agree with me.
Yes.
And I'm not saying WWE doesn't have the same problem, because they do. The problem is the roster is bloated. You have 4 hours of TV to get all your storylines across. Not really.
No.
And Wardlow, I'm a Wardlow guy. He's had a couple injuries.
Oh, he was an injury-prone one too. That's right.
Now, as far as Camille, hey, she made the call.
She did. We've said this many a times. Like, she should have went to WWE. Like, what she would be doing in NXT right now with the likes of Jordan Grace and Zarya and people like that stature would be amazing. But they killed her right away. They put her with Mercedes as the bodyguard. She looks like a puss against Britt Baker. She has the feud with Statlander that came out of nowhere, and she lost that. And then she finally got away from Mercedes, and that was the end of it. Then she got taken out backstage on an episode of Rampage, and that was the end of Camille for a bit. And she did Queen of the Ring. Still haven't seen her. Now, who's the new flavor of the month? Tekla. Tekla.
I think what they were trying to do with her and Mercedes was make it into like a Shawn Michaels Diesel kind of thing.
Which, yeah.
Because, hey, Liv Morgan and Raquel were doing that for a while.
But that makes sense because Liv Morgan has come a long way, number one.
Oh, she has.
Oh, yeah. And the thing is, she's so good at her character and her in-ring work. And then you have Raquel, who's another one who's worked her butt off, and she's just has personality, and she has the size and stature and the heel.
Her promo tonight was good.
The promo that she did on Rhea was great. Like, give me that. Like, I felt like I was watching Rhea and Raquel back in NXT again. Like, tonight's promo was excellent, and I'm looking forward to the street fight. But the thing is, if you give her the mic and you actually let Raquel go, it's a beautiful thing. I know her and her tag team with Aaliyah when she was the babyface team with that was okay. But this Raquel that we're getting now was 1,000 times better than that.
Absolutely. Like, I think she's done a lot with Finn. I think Balor has helped everybody that's come through the Judgment Day. You look at the improvement of Dominic Mysterio. Look where he came from when he was first in Judgment Day to now. Leaps and bounds. I think Raquel, like, her confidence is growing. You know, we don't know how Liv's injury, how her recovery is going to go. You know, they say 7 months, but that's assuming everything heals the way it's supposed to. Case in point, Buddy Murphy. He said he was trying to get back around April. We're now almost 3 months later. And there's a chance he may not come back.
That's what gets me too, which is crazy because the Hounds of Hell, man, Tony booked them to shit. Once Malachi Black, Aleister Black left, and then you just have him going against the Don Callis family. They've been losing a lot. Brody King has been hot and cold. Julia Hart, poor Julia Hart, who, since she's come back after the Jamie Hayter feud, went nowhere.
It's Dark Order 2.0.
That's what they're doing. I feel like I'm watching the Dark Order now, which sucks. And I love the Dark Order, but ever since, and God rest his soul, Brody King. Brody King, I'm sorry. Brody. Thank you. I got the wrong Brody. God rest his soul.
Mike, don't make me grab the papers.
Who the fuck is Grip Garrison? No, Brody Lee, God rest his soul. The thing is, when he passed away, the Dark Order turned into a comedy act. And it's like, you had this dominant like faction that was very dark, pun intended, and then you turn into the comedy act. And it's just like, it wasn't the same. And well, it just...
What they should have done was sign Rowan.
When they had the chance,
Yeah.
But,
you know, he did, I think, like 2 appearances in AEW.
He did the tribute show, and then he did another match, and that was it.
And I think, and then almost immediately after that second appearance, WWE is like, hey,
come on back.
We're doing this Wyatt family thing, this reboot.
Want to come back?
Yeah. So, I mean, case in point, like, there are things they could do. I mean, if Buddy ends up being done, completely revamp the Hounds of Hell with him being the leader. Just have him be the figurehead.
I like that.
I think he could do it. I really think he'd be a good leader.
I think so too. And I mean, we'll get into other stuff here with AEW, because there was other things that I want to mention besides what we have on the screen. But you have something that they could do storyline wise. But man, the other thing I want to mention is Jamie Hayter. And I feel so bad for Jamie Hayter because I know she's not medically cleared. And I think it was that goddamn that damn Mercedes Moné bump at the end of the last pay-per-view where it looked like an inverted DDT into a roll-up and she got like spiked with her head. I swear to God, if that's it, I'm going to be pissed because they were going for Tekla and Jamie Hayter. And now it's dog shit. And poor Jamie Hayter, who cannot catch a break. She just came back and now she's not medically cleared. And that makes me sad. That literally makes me sad. Fucking A. And speaking of something that's just like fucking A, we did have some other news, and then we'll play Tony Khan's clip of what we think about AEW in 2025. So, yes, there'll be a TK clip. Let's talk about AEW and Jon Moxley sued for negligence, civil assault and battery by a production crew member. And let's get into this. So, as we now know, a production crew member who has worked with All Elite Wrestling since 2019 has filed a lawsuit against the company and Jon Moxley. In it, he alleges various degrees of negligence by AEW and Moxley alongside civil assault and battery against Moxley concerning an incident on AEW Dynamite in 2023. The lawsuit was filed against the parties on May 30th in the Wayne County Circuit Court by Christopher Dispenza, a longtime wrestling and entertainment production crew member who started doing contract work with AEW in 2019. Dispenza is not a direct employee of AEW and provided services to Broadcast Service Group, which supplies crew for AEW. His legal team, Rate Law, told the Takedown on Sports Illustrated he has not done work with AEW since December 5th, 2024, and was demoted by Broadcast Service Group to the role of carpenter without explanation. As of Monday morning, and had not yet received a response to the filing from the promotion. Dispenza claims he suffered severe neck and shoulder injuries as a result of being shoved to the ground unexpectedly by Moxley during a match with Kenny Omega. Dispenza alleges in the lawsuit that the incident resulted in him requiring cervical fusion surgery, shoulder surgery, and treatment for other unspecified injuries. Dispenza said the injuries occurred on the May 10, 2023 edition of AEW Dynamite in Detroit. There, Moxley faced Omega in a cage match, which ended up spilling to the outside. Moxley went to grab a screwdriver to use on Omega, and in doing so, shoved Dispenza to the ground. The lawsuit claims Moxley was supposed to only grab the screwdriver, and Dispenza took an unplanned fall as a result of being shoved. His legal team alleges this is an example of civil assault and battery, claiming that in allegedly deviating from the script, Moxley either showed intent to harm Dispenza or at a minimum a complete disregard for whether harm was the result. The lawsuit alleges that Moxley had a history of disciplinary issues before this incident involving other people while under AEW's agency or a contractual relationship. It also says past disciplinary offenses by Moxley include a documented history of unpredictability as well as lack of control by defendant, AEW, all of which were known or should have been known to defendant AEW at the time of this assault. So it's pretty much negligence. It's pretty much Jon Moxley has a history of doing this. And if you've seen the shove, it was Moxley was going to get the screwdriver, and the production crew, that being Mr. Dispenza, gave it to him. And then he just shoved him right on the ground. And you've seen the footage. We've all seen the footage of what he's referring to. It's a 50-50 thing. Do you think this caused what happened? Because he's not a wrestler. He's not a trained wrestler. He just took a bump by now. Or do you think it's a money grab?
You know, it's tough to say, and I don't really want to say either way. I don't want to say yes, it is. You know,
no, it's not.
No, it's not. All I'll say is things like this can be very difficult to prove. And to quote one of my favorite movies, Training Day, It's not what you know, it's what you can prove. And you got to think that AEW's attorneys are probably very good. I know the concept, some very deep pockets. They're probably going to cover Mox's attorneys. I got to imagine.
Mhm.
So they're going to defend this very, very seriously. And again, I'm not saying, that the guy's, trying to grab money. Not saying that at all. We don't, I don't know.
I'm right there with you. I think he does have a case if it's one of those things where, like, again, Moxley's known to do this. Like, we had MJF when he threw the water on the kid for no reason. That's not heel heat. You're just being a douche. With Moxley, it's a case of, he gets into his zone of being the Moxley, the Death Riders and whatnot. And I'm like, bro, like, he's not trained. Like, he's a production guy. Just take it and leave it alone. You don't have to shove him or Moxley gets into his zone and it gets him into trouble. And this is what we have as a result of that. And I mean, I don't know, man. We'll see where it goes from here, but that company, and it's like they don't have production meetings, and I say this all the time. Tony needs to be a motherfucking boss, and he's not. He just lets them run ramp shot, and rup shot, whatever, what I'm trying to say.
Buckshot lariat.
Buckshot lariat. Yo, the other side of the coin, we're going to play.
Bill Goldberg.
Bill Goldberg. We're going to play a Tony Khan clip because we have two more on the AEW side. So we have that, and we have, since you mentioned, we do have one this week, and it's a tweet from Dave Meltzer in regards to AEW. So let's go to Tony first.
Why do you hate me?
I'm sorry. So, and then we'll talk Rhea Ripley. So we'll go to Mommy afterwards. So
Rhea Bloody
Ripley. God damn it. So this was Tony Khan and his promotion for the Arena Mexico show for the CMLL thing. Here's what he had to say, and we will pull that clip right up now for each and every one of you to see on this fine program. Here's Tony Khan.
It feels like 2025 is, in a lot of ways, the best year we've had. I mean, we're having a great...
Well, how big is the business? How many sales do you bring in? I mean, is it making money? Like, what do you?
Guys, we're doing fantastic. This was a huge year for us. We grew the business so much with the simulcast.
Gotcha.
We brought in new audience with Max and streaming, but also we've been able to grow our cable audience year over year. Frankly, that cable and satellite and
growth in cable. Who's doing that?
Well, honestly, us, because a lot of people thought when you start simulcasting AEW on Wednesday nights and Saturday nights, oh, okay, well, a lot of people, they're still going to watch the show, but people are going to migrate to streaming. Well, actually, our cable audience, when we started simulcasting, went up, and we have a great audience on Max streaming every week, too. So we have been able to do that, and we've really maintained and grown a great audience over the years. AEW, we say it's where the best wrestle, and I really believe that's true. I think we have the best roster of wrestlers in the world.
So your thoughts on Tony Khan talking about the increase, where we've seen decrease in attendance, we've seen ratings go down and fluctuate. I still don't think everybody says that stupid restore the feeling. We have not restored the feeling with this company. You can have one great show, but that doesn't mean like you're killing it. You know what I'm saying? CMLL, the Arena Mexico show, was fine. But at the end of the day, too, you have a 60-year-old friggin' God, what the fuck was his name? Friggin' who's the one that just came? Friggin' the one who was with his kid. I cannot remember. It starts with an A. Atlantis Senior and Atlantis Junior. Thank you. Atlantis Junior and Atlantis Senior. Atlantis Senior beat Dax Harwood. A 60-year-old pinned him in a 14-man tag, and he's doing the friggin' money matches and all that. This is a company that we mentioned it earlier. It's predictable. We know what we're doing with Mercedes and Tony. We know what we're doing with Mox and Hangman. The tag team division, it's whatever. A lot of the stuff on this All In does not feel like an All In. So with what he's doing, his product doesn't make me go, ooh, ah. And this is not to badmouth. It's to frustrate of what we're seeing with this product because they can't seem to get it together. He relies on what the sickos say, what Meltzer says, and just being a professional wrestling company. So go ahead, Dan. I'll take it away.
My issue here, and honestly, it's WWE is guilty of this.
Same. Agreed.
As well. You know, going the safe and predictable route.
Yeah.
You know, that's not to say you can never do that. We're not saying that at all.
No.
But just like we had a feeling Gunther was going to beat Jay.
Yeah.
You know, and had a pretty good feeling Cody was going to beat Jay, although I think that was a super wrong call there.
Oh,
I am waiting for Rikishi's comments.
oh God, yeah.
You know, I think it's going to end up with the bloodline back together with Jay as the leader this time.
Yeah, the role reversal, and it's one of those things where, again, like we mentioned earlier at the top of the show, I don't want to see Gunther and Goldberg. It makes sense because of what happened with Bad Blood, but I don't want to see it. And WWE has its own predictability, like we mentioned. Like,
yeah, absolutely.
We knew it was going to be, all right, we knew it was going to be Cody and Randy. Cody's going to beat Randy, and we're going to get Cody and Cena, and Cody wins the belt back. And then Randy Orton will probably turn heel, and then we get a Cody Rhodes, Randy Orton feud with the teacher and the student, whatnot.
And Cena turns face.
And Cena turns babyface to end his run. But it's all about how you execute it. And I think my thing with AEW is how they execute stuff, because his booking has been stop, start, stop, and start. The wrestling is there, but how he books this stuff. I mentioned the clusterfuck that we're probably going to get in the main event, but a lot of the stuff, it's just like, with what they're trying to do with Mercedes and Tony, the promo that she did on Collision was the best part of this flipping feud, like so far. Like the promo on Collision was the best part of the feud, and her Germaning her after she won the title. But with Tony and Mercedes, this is not like Mercedes and Bayley, because people are trying to compare to that. I'm like, the story with Bayley and Mercedes was when she was Sasha Banks, they all got called up to the main roster. Bayley was just there by herself. Becky had turned on Bayley. She was losing. She got injured. Then she comes back, starts winning again, beats Becky, beats Charlotte, and then she's like, I'm not going to have my mom sit there in the crowd to continue to support me and lose, and I'm going to win the title. And then she wins the title at NXT TakeOver Brooklyn. The story was there. She was the underdog, and it was great.
And I will still say, to this day,
is one of the best matches in TakeOver history.
One of my absolute favorite women's matches of all time. You know, to me, it had,
everything.
The high flying, it had the drama, like literally everything as a fan that I enjoy in a match had it.
Yeah, this is not it.
It was missing one thing, though.
What's that?
Bill Goldberg.
Bill Goldberg. No, but that's the thing too. It's just this, and it's going to be a really good match. I know it is, but this ain't it, because we've seen what this woman's been doing with these damn titles, and you're just like, and again, either way, where the hell do you go from here? If Tony wins, who do you put Tony Storm against next? Thekla? Who do you put Mercedes against next? Like, you don't have the roster for this. That's the problem, because every one of these women have been booked like shit because they focused it around Mercedes.
And to be fair, though,
yeah,
the women's division is something that AEW's always struggled with. You know,
even in the beginning,
we're not saying before you sickos come for
us,
we are not saying they don't have talented women, because they have an amazing talent roster on an AEW. Some of the best in the business. Statlander is incredible.
Willow.
And going back to Statlander, as soon as I saw that segment with her and Mox, I'm like,
no.
Yeah, she's costing Hangman the match.
My problem is he's also facing more on women's tag teams. Like, you don't need AEW women's tag team titles right now.
Not right now.
No, and he's gonna do it, and that's why I'm so with it. Like, you don't need any more titles.
And they're probably gonna give it to Statlander and Marina Shafir.
Oh God. Don't put that into the universe.
Like, how often have I been right?
Oh,
wasn't I the one that said, when everyone was so certain Ospreay was going to sign with WWE? Wasn't I one of the very few that said, yeah, he's going to AEW?
Well, I think I agreed with you, because I'm like, he has that tie-in with New Japan, and like, he's not gonna not want to get, just to fly back and forth for the travel. You knew he was gonna sign with AEW because it's there.
I remember on Kicking It with the TSK, which you can find the links down below. Cheap up. Everyone was saying, well, where's he going to go? Most people, the consensus was, yeah, he's going to go to WWE. I was just like, no. He's going to go not necessarily the easiest route, the safest route.
Like Okada. Okada went right to AEW too. He took the safe way.
Yeah. And that's there's nothing wrong with that.
Nope.
For Ospreay's situation,
yes,
given that he's got a young son that's still in school in England, he didn't want to uproot his son, bring him to the U.S.
Right.
With WWE, he would have had to.
Yeah,
there's no way they would have let him take weekends off.
My thing too is, This also brings from Osprey. This actually segues into my next point. So as we know, he's been doing a lot of interviews, that being Osprey, which he can't get WWE's name out of his mouth. Here's another one. Swerve Strickland. Did you see what his quote that he said that I'm going to read from this excerpt from this podcast? You know what he said, right?
I think so, yeah.
Swerve Strickland says joining AEW should be like signing with the Lakers. And here's the quote. Strickland follows up on comments made by Osprey. In May, Will Osprey made a media appearance and addressed the latest batch of WWE talent releases. He expressed that he wants to see them build themselves and other promotions up before assuming they can join AEW. Those comments were followed up by Swerve Strickland during his appearance on the Battleground podcast. He said those individuals who seek to come to AEW should become one of the best and then come over. Strickland feels joining AEW should be like signing with the NBA's Los Angeles Lakers franchise, and that one does not just come over and get in the starting lineup. He said you have to prove yourself and then make your way into that lineup. So here is the excerpt. You can't just be here in All Elite Wrestling just to be here. We've, Strickland and Will Ospreay, always had that same respect. We both push the bar and raise it to certain lengths that, like, people second guess they can come to All Elite Wrestling. People second guess they can just sign a contract and make an impact in All Elite Wrestling. And it shouldn't be like that. It should be like signing with the Lakers. You can't just get to the Lakers and just expect to be starting five and run the floor and get playing time. No, you have to work. You have to be one of the best out there. Then you got to wonder, can you come to the Lakers? And then you got to work that much harder to stay on the team. That's what you want to always keep that standard in All Elite Wrestling. And for that, I say no. No.
I agree with him to a point. You know, you shouldn't just assume you're going to AEW.
That part I agree with.
And likewise, if you're in AEW, you shouldn't just assume WWE. Yes, you should. But here's where I diverge from. I diverge from this.
Mm-hmm.
If I'm Tony Khan,
yes.
I'm thinking, dude, don't tell me who to sign. If somebody gets released from WWE, depending on who they are, if I think I can make money off them, you bet your fucking ass I'm bringing them in. If somebody like a Randy Orton or Carmelo Hayes, somebody that I think is worth it, yeah, I'm going to bring them in. It's common sense.
My thing too is you have a thing here, and I agree with you wholeheartedly. I think you got to prove yourself when it comes to any company, but with him telling like people who to not sign, I'm like, dude, you're not the booker. Tony Khan is the owner. He signs a lot of these people. He adventures and he expenditures and he has the overtures. You can't tell people who they're going to sign to. I know you love this company, but I think with Tony is when you talk about earning it, a lot of who is he pushing mostly now? The former WWE people. So it also kind of negates the argument because he's pushing the former WWE people.
Okay, let's see. Your world champion,
Jon Moxley, former WWE.
Mox.
Yes.
TNT champion,
Adam
Cole.
Yes.
Former NXT world champion, longest reigning ever, I think still.
Yes.
Tag team champions,
Lashley and Benjamin.
WWE guys. Soon to be your next women's world champion,
Mercedes Moné.
Well, actually, even current.
Tony Storm, WWE. And Mercedes Moné.
So ultimately, it's who can draw money. You know, I do agree that you shouldn't just assume. And the saying, yeah, well, when they got hired, they have to work that much harder. That's with any job.
Right.
You know, Mike, when you got hired at your job, you didn't, be like, yeah, I got a job. I don't have to do anything now. You still got to work.
Oh, yeah. So
if not, you're getting cut. And that's with any job.
I'll put even an example like this. So outside of doing this, I just celebrated 5 years with my job that I'm still with. That wasn't because I coasted. It's because I worked hard at what I did. I went from night shifts, I went to morning shifts, and I promoted and got better and did my work for 5 years. That's why I'm in the position that I'm in now. I didn't coast. You can't just coast after you get the job. You have to work hard.
And that's life.
That's life.
You can't coast through life. I mean, unless you're rich, then then you can.
Then Tony can just go back on the yacht.
But the point is, you shouldn't be coasting in life. And at the end of the day, if somebody gets released from WWE, are there people that I don't think he should sign? Yeah, I don't think there are people. But likewise, if it's somebody that can draw money, you can't tell me Tony's not going to sign them.
No, I mean, you have a lot of free agents out there now that you can sign. It's all about who he feels is his best investment.
Yeah.
So we'll
Long
see.
term. And like if I'm Tony, the guys that you hired initially were a little bit older. Okada's not a young guy. Swerve's younger, but Osprey has said, there's things he can't do anymore.
Well, yeah. Well, the style that he works, he can't do what he did when he was in his 20s.
The Bucks have even said they don't know how many more years they have left.
That's the thing. Time waits for no man. Like you
Exactly.
have to build the younger stars.
We'll use AJ Styles in WWE, for example. He has said that there are multiple moves that he used to do all the time.
Mhm.
Like I saw one, I think, I could be wrong. Maybe I'm wrong. I don't know. Where he said he doesn't think he could do another Ultimate X match.
Yeah, Van Vliet asked him. He's like, I can't do Ultimate X. I can't do the spiral tap anymore. Like, I just can't.
His body can't turn it. And like people are like, oh, he'd go to AEW. I'm pretty sure when this contract is done, he's done.
Yeah, or he can even still be in WWE as a coach. He can help out the young talent. He doesn't have to be in the ring.
No.
That's the thing.
Like, I could see him doing a training school.
Exactly. You have people that the knowledge that he has over 20 plus years to pass to the next generation. That's fucking pearls of wisdom right there. That's the learning tree. Not that learning tree.
Hi, guys.
Hi, guys.
I feel like if AJ was going to go to AEW, I honestly feel like he would have done it earlier.
I agree. And speaking of things that should have been done earlier. Okay, so this is the last of the AEW roundup. Then we'll get to our final two topics, and they are from SmackDown. We're getting it ready. So Dave Meltzer, he did it again. He did it again, you son of a bitch. Oh, God. And then he got into with Raj Theory. So Raj Giri is going to be a part of this. So we'll start it off with these tweets. Yeah, I know. As soon as I said Raj Giri. So Meltzer said what? Posted this. And this is from Dave Meltzer responding to a fan. And it goes, Goldstein Jr. and Sons replied to Dave, if CM Punk were to leave right now, there's no way Tony would take him back because he has a hardened heart, can't forgive, even if it's best for business. If that were Vince, and I'll read the rest of the tweet because it goes on here. Give me 2 seconds here. If this were Vince, he can't forgive even if it's best for business. He would easily forgiven and done what's best for business. Tony can't do that. So Meltzer wrote back and said, this isn't going to happen, but if Punk came to Tony and apologized to him and the other key people, he'd take him back in a heartbeat, but it's not worth debating because it both can't happen and won't. And then David replied to DFT Lewis, why should CM Punk apologize for a series of actions that cause an independent legal investigation team and an internal legal team and the company's disciplinary committee headed by Bryan Danielson to all unanimously recommend his firing? And then Raj Giri would go and respond to this, and we will bring up Raj Giri's point here right now. But as you can see, Uncle Dave's bias is really showing of who he truly thinks was at fault in the CM Punk Young Bucks thing. So here we go. Raj Giri would reply and said, how about leadership? Cowboy up and do what leaders do and blame the failures on themselves. Tony Khan was a weak leader for that whole ordeal. I'm sure he's grown and is much better now, but if this scenario happened, TK should apologize for how poorly he handled the whole ordeal and letting it get so out of hand. Raj Giri perfectly said. Yep. Meltzer is constantly on the side of the Bucks, and that's see, he cannot get over the fact that, Punk said, if you listen to guys like him, then you and I are in the different business, from what he said on the Ariel Helwani show. Okay, and Uncle Dave, this is where you're wrong. So this whole thing started because Colt Cabana was not on AEW TV. He was doing Ring of Honor. And from what the Young Bucks told Dave, because if the Young Bucks tell Dave things, then it must be the gospel, and Dave runs with anything when he's wrong 99% of the time, they told him that the reason why Colt Cabana is not on AEW TV was for CM Punk, which then led to the brawl out because Punk was tired of these guys like, hey guys, this is not fucking true. Like, how about, just admit that it's not fucking true and you're lying on me and I don't appreciate you sullying my name. What Punk did that was wrong was he aired it out at the media scrum, and it turned into the whole brawl in. And that was the problem. You could have done this behind closed doors.
Exactly.
So Punk was wrong on that.
This was one of those Reddit posts that say, am I the asshole?
Yes.
And the correct response is everyone.
Everyone is the asshole.
Punk shouldn't have done it. Buck shouldn't have done it. But Tony is soon, and I've said it to you. I've said it on Kicking It with the TSK. Links are going to be down there. Number 3. But Tony, as soon as Punk started saying shit, Tony should have put his hand over the mic and should have said,
We're done.
you know, we all have a difference of opinion here, but let's move forward.
Or if this was Triple H or Vince McMahon, they would have ended it, and then he probably would have got a talking to after that. But yeah, Tony did. He just sat there and cringed, that infamous face, because he doesn't know how to handle this, because why is this happening right now? I just want to talk about wrestling and have a great night. You could see Chris Jericho even at it, like whisper, like, hey, Tony, there's a fight going on backstage. And guess what happened? Tony kept going with the media scrum. He didn't even stop it. He just kept going. And then the stuff that happens with Brawl Out with CM Punk and Jungle Boy, the problem with that was Jungle Douche, as I call him, the douche of the jungle. He was told, we're not going to do the glass spot here. And CM Punk was like, Tony Schiavone told you not to do it, and everybody told you not to do it. Now I'm telling you not to do it. We're not going to do the spot. And then Jungle Boy couldn't help himself. Real Glass, Cry Me a River. And then him and Punk got into it, and it lasted 10 fucking seconds with a guillotine choke, and then Punk yelling at Tony where he feared for his life, which he should not have. And Punk was he right in that? No. And was Jungle Boy right? No. It was a case of everybody was in the wrong, but Tony, at the end of the day, should have stepped in and done something, but he didn't, because he just wants to have a good time and book a professional
Here's the thing.
Hit me.
He should have fired both of them, realistically.
Yeah, but also, I'm going to say, who out of the two, who draws more money, Daniel? CM Punk or Jungle Boy? Thank you.
And here's the thing. The statement he made about the fearing for his life, that did him no favors.
No.
If it were me, I would have said, ladies and gentlemen, this is not part of the show. As professionals, we strive to provide you with quality program each and every time. Mm-hmm. That being said, I will make one announcement regarding Phillip Brooks, professionally known as CM Punk, and Jack Perry. And this will be the only statement that I will make. Due to certain events, the contracts of both men have been terminated effective immediately. They will no longer appear on AEW programming in any capacity. This will be the only statement that I will make. Thank you. And that should have been it.
See,
look at the camera.
Yep.
Say it. Be done.
Yeah. See, that's the thing. Both of his explanations, like if you remember the first one after the Brawl In, like when he's just like, hi, I'm Tony Khan. And we had an incident. Now the titles are vacated. And he had that stupid fucking grin and his eyes are bulging out of his head. This one was his eyes are bulging out of his head and he feared for his life. And he even looked like more of a dumbass than he did the first time. And the problem is, if you remember, like CM Punk was like willing to talk to the Bucks because like, guys, we can make money out of this. Like do CM Punk and FTR against Young Bucks and Jack and Kenny Omega.
Exactly.
Like you could have made money, but and I'm going to say this, and I'm sorry to our Californian peeps. The Young Bucks are a bunch of pussies, and they didn't want to do it. And Tony's like, yeah, good.
Here's the thing, even beyond that, Mike. Tony wanted to do it.
Tony wanted
to do it.
Yes.
Kenny wanted to do it.
And Kenny Omega
was cool with it.
Yes. And
like
Punk,
it's been said that Kenny and Punk, they're fine.
They're fine.
No issues. But it was Matthew and Nicholas that didn't want to do it.
Well, also, Tony is the owner, so you could also tell your vice presidents to fucking do your job.
Unless they have creative control.
That too. But it's just, it was such a situation that was not needed. And Dave Meltzer even replying to that just shows his not only biased, but also the fact that he's just so in his Young Bucks fandom, it's not even funny.
And beyond that, like, dude, do you know the full story?
No, he just gets what he's told, and he automatically thinks it's correct.
You can't do that with anything. Like, may not like it, but there are two sides to every coin.
Mm-hmm. And Dave only wants to hear the Young Bucks side, and that's a shame. It's a fucking shame. Ugh. Now that we have moved on from the Uncle Dave hour, two final topics here. So they both are on SmackDown. So the initial announcement via PW Insider that's starting on July 4th, the 4th of July, SmackDown will return to 2 hours. Yay. Yay. Are you excited to see them go back to 2 hours?
Honestly, I forgot it was still 3 hours.
But that's the thing. I mean, people are being very decisive of the fact of, hey, it's great to go back to 2 hours because it's shorter. And then the other side of the coin, it's like, hey, man, like 3 hours gave more people time on the television to like a lot of great more matches and stuff and expand. But also at the same time, that those 3 hours drag. And it's just like, oh, so I'm excited.
Here's an idea.
Yes.
Keep the 3 hours, keep the 2 hours, but then maybe use the other hour for like bring back Velocity
or something like even Velocity or something like,
or that kind of show. Have like a show where you put it on, like you could put it on YouTube, you could put it on Netflix
or their website.
Yeah, but you could do something. Put it on Peacock. Put it somewhere.
Well, look at
YouTube would be perfect. I mean,
look at what they did with Raw. Like Raw would then they would film 205. Like you would have that, then 205, or you'd have SmackDown, then 205, or SmackDown, then Level Up, or NXT, and then 205 Live. Like you have stuff you can do. Use the last hour, but yeah, the problem is it dragged, and now we're back to 2.
Yeah, you could have it. Do it. Call it like SmackDown After Hours.
SmackDown After Dark, even. Like, come on now.
Actually, I think there's a guy in Florida that would have a problem with that.
Yeah, I know. Sorry.
That'll be you, but I won't be Bill Goldberg.
I love it, Bill Goldberg. So, yes, it's going to be great to see them go back to 2 hours next week. And I think the final point that we have to make, because we talked about it in our chat, and it was talked about for the last week, ladies and gentlemen, the John Cena pipe bomb. My God.
Yeah.
My God. So everybody was like, okay, what are we going to do here? Because let's be honest, this John Cena heel turn has been so mid. It's been so mid. And CM Punk has absolutely saved this fucking heel turn with the promos that they've cut on each other. And this week, John Cena and R-Truth was the match. Because if you remember 14 years ago, it was R-Truth who beat Cena in the tables match thanks to CM Punk. And then the pipe bomb happened. Boy, R-Truth hits John Cena with the belt. There's a DQ. There's a scuffle. John Cena and CM Punk brawl. John Cena gives him the AA through the table. Then he gets up on the turnbuckle and he cuts the John Cena pipe bomb.
Did he?
And it was the role reversal of a lifetime. He used the same verbiage as CM Punk, except for instead of, hey, Colt Cabana, how you doing? Hey, Claudio Castagnoli. Hey, Nick Nemeth. And hey, Matt Cardona. And then Matt Cardona would go on an indie and say, hey,
hi, John Cena.
This was perfect. This was pent-up aggression for John Cena for the last 15 years. And then he said, hey, thank you, USA, for going over the 2 extra minutes. And Elvis has left the mother fudging building. This
and he said, no, you can have him back.
You can have him back. This was perfect.
Exactly. Like, I remember when it got going, you remember me, I messaged it. He's like, dude,
he's doing the pipe bomb.
Literally just, dude,
he's like literally doing it.
Exactly. And the names, people were like, the people thought, well, these are random. Matthew Cardona, Matt Jackson, Nick Nemeth,
Nick Jackson, Claudio Castagnoli,
Colt Cabana, like,
yep.
And I will say I love the social media response where Xavier Woods responds to that and says, wait, does this mean I get my Swiss guy back? And Ricochet just responds with no. And then Xavier just responds with, why are you bald?
Why are you ugly?
Like
it made sense. Like
you can tell these guys are friends and are having fun with it.
Yeah, and it made sense too. Because it made sense because at the time Colt Cabana was in Ring of Honor and he was talking about going to Ring of Honor, New Japan, all these places. John Cena was like, okay, I'm going to mention someone from AEW. I'm going to mention someone from TNA, and I'm going to mention someone from the Indies. It made sense.
Yeah. And here's the thing, Punk hasn't been in AEW in over a year.
No, and just
where's Colt Cabana?
There you go. There you go. It just, the whole thing where he's also just talking about, I've been the greatest of all time for 25 years. And just like you sit there in the most uncomfortable position and just everything made sense for the R-Truth involvement, for the CM Punk involvement. They did something very spectacular with how they ended SmackDown and it built for something. And he did the kiss at the end, like when Punk beat him at Money in the Bank, which was a nice touch. this is what we needed to really spice up this feud that we're going to get.
There were two lines that I absolutely loved. He said, "You said you were going to take the belt and leave, but you came back.
Yep.
I'm actually taking the belt, and I'm not coming back." And then I think what absolutely had to be, the greatest line in a promo.
Yes.
"You change your values just as much as I change T-shirts."
That and your tweets are strong, your values are weak. You're Mr. TKO, and I'm like, oh my god, oh my god,
Like, oh
man, God. And he was cool with that. Like that whole thing was just perfect. Like I said, it was 10 minutes of just awesomeness. And the fact that he even said you were over with your 7 minutes 14 years ago. I'm like, oh man, he went there. But that
it was great.
It was great. I mean, it was different booking back then with Vince, but with this scenario, now John Cena and CM Punk, the roles are reversed. They're older, and they're also in a better spot of like, okay, let's tell this story from this angle, and I can expose what I've said about John Cena for years. Boom. So you have something to look forward to going into this week's Night of Champions. So that was a perfect way to end it. That really was a perfect way to end it.
Absolutely. Like I just remember thinking like, oh
yeah, and also
they're going there.
Well, the thing too is next weekend is the actual official anniversary of the pipe bomb. So I mean, if you can incorporate it before the pipe bomb actually goes off, then I think it's great, man. And I mean, that's going to be in probably one of the greatest promos in wrestling history. I got to ask you now, 14 years later, who had the better pipe bomb, CM Punk or John Cena? Well, Punk's was different because he was leaving and he wanted change. This was just John Cena, just like,
venting.
Okay, venting. That's the difference.
You know, I think each one had its strong points. Punk, a lot of what he said ended up happening.
Yes, it did.
You know, he said eventually Vince is going to be gone and it's going to be run by his idiot daughter and doofus son-in-law.
Which,
there
we go.
You know, and he was right in that regard. Like, he was more cynical.
Mm-hmm.
Cena's had more bite. Like, Cena's promo was just full of venom. Like, you know, it was that smooth venom where it's just like this is the Cena that I wish we had.
Well, he was also feeling himself where he was just like, ha, I'm cooking. He's still going. Ha, you can't cut me off.
Like, I really think if they let him, he would have kept going even longer.
Oh, I agree wholeheartedly. It's like, this is what we could have got in 2012 after he lost to The Rock, but we didn't because Vince still wanted him to be the babyface. And I'm like, no.
Because they didn't have another one ready.
Exactly. That's the problem. He didn't develop stars. Vince surfaced and solely everything was around John Cena. He didn't have anybody else. Now we do.
No, and I do think Cena is going to end up probably dropping it to Cody at SummerSlam.
Then he goes back to the babyface run.
But it's not going to be, you know, like, oh, hey, I'm a good guy. I like you guys again.
Hey, guys, I love you all. No.
Hi, guys.
Hey, guys. No, I don't think he's going to be like full and just like running to the ring. Stu, it's time to go to work. I think it's going to be.
We need another promo between him and Paul Heyman again. Like, yeah. I just need that again. Absolutely great. I do think we are probably going to get a War Games match with Cena this year.
For the first time ever, yeah.
First and only. Like,
yeah.
If I'm Cena, like, I'm not going to want to do Hell in a Cell because a lot can go wrong with those.
Yeah, no, don't do Hell in a Cell.
Hi, Mick Foley. How you doing?
But the thing, too, is you can have John Cena decipher, am I going to go with this team, the babyface team, the heel team, which will probably be the babyface team. But it's just, you have a lot that you could build to a War Games story, and then he finishes it off in Boston in December.
Yeah, because I heard they're adding one last PLE in Boston. I don't know if it's true, but I heard they're calling it, like, The Time Is Now.
Yeah, like kind of like how Rock had the Rock Bottom in 98.
Yeah, they're having, like, one last special hurrah, which...
I'm for it.
I mean, honestly, I would love it if both promoters could get their heads out of their asses. Like, I honestly, I would love a Kenny Omega versus John Cena match. Like, I still think both guys could have a great match.
agreed wholeheartedly. And I will say this one thing we'll add before we close this thing out. I did also want to mention Rhea Ripley because I know I mentioned that earlier, but let's talk about this because people gave shit about mommy, and this really kind of angered me a little bit. So Michael Cole on the SummerSlam kickoff said this about Rhea Ripley. In my 28 years with this company, I've never seen someone take off, shoot to the moon like this woman has over the past couple of years. And everybody's like, oh, what about Becky Lynch? And I'm like, yeah, true. But with Rhea Ripley's done and how she's gotten over the past, fucking like 8-9 years that she's been with this flipping company, like her friggin' trajectory and her arc has been absolutely spectacular. And yes, Becky Lynch did her thing in 2018 when she got the bloody nose from Nia, and then she got everything that led to the man character. But in this generation, in this time period, it's Rhea Ripley. It's Rhea Ripley.
And here's the thing, Mike.
Yes.
And I absolutely hate it. It goes beyond wrestling. This whole whatabouts is stupid. When you acknowledge something and somebody, whether it's movies, whether it's music, politics, whatever, you can mention that, hey, I like this. Well, hey, what about this one? This, that. It's stupid.
It is.
It doesn't matter. Like, let's be real here. Rhea went from being like low mid card range to just like joining the Judgment Day. Mm-hmm. I remember when that first happened, they're like, really? Like,
no. And then she took off.
And then she got over.
Mm-hmm. It took off. That's the thing too. It's just like around this particular time period. Look at her 3-4 years ago. Like she was tag team champion with Liv Morgan and Nikki ASH, and then she joins the Judgment Day and she took off to the moon to where we are now. Like the last 3 years of Rhea Ripley have been amazing.
Absolutely, to the point where she's going to be a Hall of Famer, guarantee.
I agree, man. And again, this is not to disparage Becky Lynch because we love Becky Lynch, but it's two different sides of the coin.
Exactly. Like every one of them has had different ascensions, and not in the wasteland either. See what I did there?
Yes.
And that's not to say one's better than the other. Just different stories. Like
Becky was, I'm tired of this bitch Charlotte stealing my momentum, and then it turned into the man, which was great.
Exactly. You have Bayley, someone who, to me, like almost kind of like the proverbial runt of the litter.
Yeah, when she friggin' took down the wacky inflatable tube men and cut her hair and said, "I'm tired of you people. I'm tired of the hugs. I'm tired of everything." No, I'm tired of all you people.
Like I mentioned earlier, with Naomi, sometimes wrestlers, musicians, what have you, will take a complete left turn. It doesn't always work.
No, not at all.
It's worked. But Bayley is somebody that, when she came along, people used to think she was the weakest out of the 4 horsewomen of NXT.
No,
you and I both know it.
Oh, well,
she busted her fucking ass to prove how good she was.
Mm-hmm.
And to me,
but that's my thing too, is to add on to your point. Like when she won the title, like we mentioned earlier, she wins the title. She was the backbone. Like she was going against everybody from Nia Jax to Eva Marie, for God's sake, the Asuka match, and from from Takeover Texas and Dallas. Like everything that she did up to that reign before she got to the main roster, like Bayley was holding down NXT.
Yeah,
that's the thing. It's just there's people. The bottom line is there's people's different trajectory and their stories and their journeys. But with right now, you can honestly say Michael Cole is spot on with where Rhea Ripley was to where she is now. And you could complain about the fact that, oh, Rhea, she's constantly getting this and that. Like how many times are we going to see Rhea? She's a draw. She draws merchandise. She draws money. People are invested in her. Like if you're invested in her, you're going to keep pushing her. She draws.
Exactly. And see, the same thing, and it just irritates me, is, if you stop pushing her, then people are gonna say, "Why are you pushing her, Rhea Ripley?"
That's the problem. You fickle, literally, Daniel Bryan, fickle. You were never ever going to satisfy wrestling fans. That's the thing. You're never going to.
People were whining that we weren't seeing the Wyatt Six. Well, why are they already getting a tag title shot?
Because they're building the division around how everybody's scared of them and they don't want them to win the tag titles. And guess what? They're going to win the tag titles and people are going to be pissed. The tag division is because they're scared because, oh my God, we don't want to see the Wyatt Six as a tag champ. So it builds that story.
Yeah.
Because they want to take them out.
And honestly, having the Gorillas of Destiny, which I'm still calling them that.
Yeah, I can't call them.
You can't call them the Bloodline
anymore.
Tongans.
Tongans,
silly.
No, stupid.
You know, it's because to me, I mean, they're Tongan. We know that, but just as a name for a team, you need something. So to me, they're still Gorillas of Destiny. They're the GOD.
Right.
You know, them both getting hurt, it just was such an inopportune time.
Exactly. And now you have to build this tag team division around a dominant team. And what a better dominant team than the Wyatt Six.
And I don't know what it is, but Raw has nothing.
Well, they're doing, again, if you notice, next week they're doing the New Day against the Judgment Day. And I'm like, how many times am I going to fucking see this match? Like, they're doing against Finn Balor and JD McDonough again. And it's like, you have opportune things to do. Like, bring in the AAA talent. Bring in Psycho Clown and Mr. Iguana. Like, you could do a lot of stuff.
Well, funny that you mentioned Psycho Clown because it was reported that he's told people he is no longer taking appearances.
Okay, if they picked up Psycho Clown, that's cool because he's got a great looking character. And that's awesome.
I think they got him. I think, you know, realistically, I think anybody that was on Worlds Collide, they are locking down.
You have a division now, and especially with, like we mentioned on the Wrestling Roundtable that'll be out this week, like we mentioned, Berto and Garza as the friggin' AAA tag champs. You have a lot of things that you can do with those AAA tag titles on WWE television and also Mexico. So you have to build up more tag teams because that Raw division is so weak right now.
Yeah. And the great thing about that is it gets the AAA tag titles on TV because then people are going to see them. They're going to think, wait, what are those? What are those titles? I don't see those. I don't recognize those.
Yes, not to be confused with what Mercedes is trying to do with all the titles that she has on AEW. Not like that, where it's just like, oh, she's got all these belts. This has actually some meaning to it, to what we get to see with this partnership and the acquisition of AAA. So you have to have that, and it makes perfect sense. And if you could get eyeballs on the product with new talents and overall innovation, that's the main key, man.
Oh. Yeah, I mean, you got Elio Del Vikingo signed to WWE.
Yes, and he's going to do some NXT stuff. He'll do whatever. You have a lot of stuff.
The Royal Rumble.
Put Vikingo in the Royal Rumble.
Think of, I remember, what we always had was the Kofi spot.
The Vikingo spot.
Give me Penta. Give me Phoenix. Give me Vikingo.
Iguana.
And I'm so happy for Iguana. I mean, like the whole Yeska puppet, like, dude's gonna make him some money.
That's the thing. You have something with that, and it's a funny character, and that's something
kids are gonna love it.
Yeah, that's what I'm gonna say. You can market that to kids.
Like I'm gonna need a backstage segment in NXT with him and Santino with the Cobra. I gotta have it. And another thing that was reported, again, you always have stories that kind of fly under the radar.
Yeah.
A lot of contracts in AEW are coming up soon, one of which is Donovan Danhausen.
Now, if Danhausen with his character can go to NXT and do that, oh my God.
I would not be shocked if they sign him to NXT. I think he would get over real well. I would love a random backstage segment where Ethan Page is just walking down a hallway and you just have Danhausen just pop out and
curse him. Yeah.
And you just have him look at him and just say, what the hell are you doing here?
Would be awesome. But that's the thing, like Tony fumbled with him. Like Dan has mentioned many a times on this show. You had Hookhausen. That could have been something. And then you just dropped it. And then you dropped it. And then you haven't seen Danhausen since. And
he was a supporter of Pepsi Phil.
That's the problem. If you support CM Punk, you're dead to rights in that company. So yeah, bring anybody you can. It's a great time for wrestling with the variety, the acquisitions, the partnerships. Yeah. Let's just continue to fucking go, man. And speaking of let's continue to fucking go, there's more and more.
Fucking go.
we have more of these shows to come on. Now, Paul unfortunately had to dip early, and Paul, we love you, and we just finished this show.
We acknowledge you.
We acknowledge you, Paul. We're putting up the ones. So we will be back with more of the weekly review. We will give our
this one.
Not this one. Not that one, no. We will be back with more of this fine program as we give our thoughts and analysis after Night of Champions. I know we started off the show very meh and angry and disgusted, but we hope you enjoyed the rest of this as we picked it back up a little bit. But with that being said, Paul will also be joining Dan and I very, very soon, possibly later in the week, for another edition of Uncaged, as we gave you a little even sample in this show, as we're going to be talking about CM Punk's run in AEW and the whole shebang. Daniel, where can we follow you on socials before we close this out, and then we'll do Paul?
Maggle's going to put the link down below. Pundits coming should be, because I have to re-upload it again. Should be maybe Wednesday, hopefully. We'll see. But more is coming. Lots coming. Mike and I have our shows coming, and we had the wrestling. Tonight the wrestling roundtable. Talked about some Lucha Underground. We got more wrestling roundtable shows coming. Some good stuff you're going to want to check out, which you can check down below in Mike's YouTube channel. Mike will also put the links in the description for the Dead Man of RWT, Mr. Paul Morales.
Yep.
You can check him out on X, on YouTube. We don't say Twitter because,
But yes, like Daniel mentioned, it's the Dead Man of RWT on Twitter as well as TikTok, and Paul's YouTube channel will all be in the description. And check him out on our peeps over at the Kicking Out at 2 podcast, which is going to be sweet. Those links will be in the description as well. But from Paul, from Dan, you can check me out. S&M Network shows on the YouTube, SM Show 1 and MCL92 on Twitter. Not calling it X once more. Fuck you, Elon. Instagram, Larkin_92 and MLarkinMB, StephenMikeShow.com and LFCfights.com. The YouTube channel features Uncaged, the weekly review, the Wrestling Roundtable, which will be out this week as well, Deep into the Heart of Wrestling with Rob and Nicola and I, the Stephen Mike Show, which will also be dropping this week. A lot of great shows, Pop Culture History Podcast, IceNet, the LFC Podcast, On the Mic with Mike, and so much more. But yeah, y'all stay tuned because we got a busy week. We have shows this week, that being Night of Champions, and then we take a nice little cool off until we get to the triple predictions of Saturday night's main event, friggin' Evolution, NXT, and fucking All In. So 4. Well, technically 3, because I'm not going to count Saturday night's main event because that's TV. So we don't do predictions for a TV show, for a TV event. So anyway, digress. Stay tuned. There's a lot of wrestling to come out. For Daniel Kermans, my name is Mike Larkin. Thank you for listening to the weekly review, and well,
Bill Goldberg. And I'll pay you. Bye, guys.
I don't ever slow up, no I don't take shit. I got no love for the fakeness. If you wanna play tough and wanna hate this, I'll always show up. I don't ever slow up, no I don't take shit. I got no love for the fakeness. If you wanna play tough and wanna hate this, I'll always show up and make a statement. I don't ever slow.
The past is gone. Now's the future.